to go racing. We're behind the pace car at the moment. Lights are still on. Terry Bias and Dean Wallace off row number 2. Russell Ingall qualified 5th in his first showing here at the Goodyear Thunderdome after winning the first race at Bathurst a little time ago, and currently leads the series. Alongside him, the 41 Oswald car of Gene Cook. Off row number 4, we've got George Elliott making a return in the number 55 Lockie's Hotel Chev Monte Carlo. Alongside him, the Revell Wet Paint Chev Monte Carlo of Ken James in 01, the 01 car. Neville Lance in the 14 Auto Pro car is in 9th, and Mark Harrison, the 23 Kirkman Transport Pontiac Grand Prix in position number 10. Rodney Jane in 11 in car number 3. Max Dumsney in the number 5 car is out, as we see Ken James heading toward pit lane. He obviously has a problem with the wet paint Revell car. Maybe the paint is not just dried yet. Maybe. Wet paint is closed.
That's maybe what it is all about. And in fact, he's not the only one. There's a minor problem on the Kim Jane car. They've actually rolled the car out from the start of the race with a roll of race tape still stuck to it. So that's something that the crew are going to have to come to terms with.
Max Dumsney has withdrawn from the race in the number 5 GKA car. Unfortunately, blew an engine in qualifying. Position 13 now move up to 12 is Bob Middleton. Marshall Brill will go into 13 in the Pennzoil car, and running off the back row of the grid, former world motocross champion Jimmy Ellis from the United States has been a resident of Australia for the last 7 years. But the big heavy NASCAR's 3,500-pounder racing machine, highly refined racing machines with carburetted small block Chevy and Ford engines, are about to roar off into the distance, Phil Brannigan, and it will be a great race. Average lap speeds in excess of 240 kilometres per hour.
It really is a great sight. Here comes the field. The Ford Falcon XR pace car dives down into pit lane. All is in readiness now. The starter John Mostini just settling down the field, and he waves the green flag, and a great start there from Waihoon, but Jane has the horsepower and takes the point, the first run down to turn number 1.
Well, they've thundered off into the first turn, and it is Kim Jane out in the position he likes best, but Terry Waihoon in the BP car care 25 Ford Thunderbird in second spot. He took a win out here last time at the Goodyear Thunderdome back in March of this year. Back in the field, the cars are starting to settle down, and Nathan Preddy, our special guest commentator, Russell Ingall is back there in the car that you drove last season. What would his thoughts be now that they've completed the first lap?
Well, I guess it'll take a couple of laps for Russell to settle into the pace, because it's usually a bit of a cracker. You'll notice Kim and Terry are out front, like setting a very fast pace. So Russell settled himself into 5th nice and easily. So now it's up to him to settle into the car properly into the race and start pushing forward.
So it's Waihoon already starting to pressurise Jane. They've got a break over Dean Wanless, and as we said in the intro, Dean Wanless has actually been racing in the United States and we've got Terry Waihoon has gone into the lead, but Dean Wanless has raced in the United States over the winter break and contested the Winston Cup, Winston West Tour. There is Waihoon on screen, the BP car care team, with this unique Australian-built car.
That's right, this car built right here in Melbourne. They're about to put 2 laps down, 3 laps down. In fact, there goes the T-Bird. So Ford leads, Chevrolet in second place. Jane is just getting comfortably into the Thunderdome season for 98-99. And right behind them is Wanless. Ingall now taking Cook for 4th place. So Russell Ingall has clean air there. He is under our speed cam there on the back straight at about 265 kilometres an hour. The speed's not going to phase him, Nathan, but the walls might.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's quite a daunting track for the first time, and this is Russell's first race. He doesn't seem to have too many problems at all settling into 4th place.
Now, Russell also has another particular peculiarity with the NASCAR to take into account, in that the car is left-hand drive. The drivers are positioned off the wall. It's an American category of racing. But Phil Brannigan, he contested the AMP Bathurst 1000 recently in the left-hand drive Vectra, or was a right-hand drive car. Does he have any experience in left-hand drive race cars?
Well, he doesn't have a lot of left-hand drive race cars, but if you go further back into his background, once he got out of karts, he went to Formula cars. He went into Formula Ford in Australia. He went to Formula Ford in Europe, won the Formula Ford Festival, and then got into Formula Renault and Formula 3. They've all got right-hand gear changes, so that's not going to phase him at all.
Well, so he looks as though he has settled in. Gene Cook right on his tail. Neville Lance just sitting back there in the Auto Pro 14 Ford Thunderbird, starting to close the gap. A lot of corner speed there for Lance. He closed that gap on Cook very quickly indeed. And Ingle looking good, coming out of turn number 4 and onto the dog leg. There's our leader, the 25 car of Terry Waihoon. We've got 6 laps down, 34 remaining around the 1.83 kilometre bank tri-oval here, the Goodyear Thunderdome.
And Waihoon looks very comfortable out front. The T-Bird uses its front wheels very well. He gets very good solid front grip, and he's using that at this part of the racetrack. We would expect as the race wears on, Jane's car, perhaps the John Sydney Racing build car, to be a little bit more consistent over the second half of the race, because Jane's got a lot of experience. He's used to running more in these brighter conditions, sunny conditions here at the Calder Thunderdome today. About 20 degrees air temperature, probably about 32, 33 track temperature, and Waihoon just taking it quietly at the moment, looking after the car and looking after those big sticky Goodyear slicks.
Yeah, well, Terry's won an Oscar championship and obviously knows how to pace himself, Nathan, but Oscars are different to Nascars, and the Nascars run on the slick tyres, and obviously they are a whole lot heavier. So the daytime conditions, which Terry was used to in Oscar, is he going to be able to translate that experience across today?
Yeah, well, he's had a few years' experience now in the NASCAR, and he had a few dramas yesterday with the engine, so it's good to see he's put that behind him and he's out in front. But I guess, you know, a few years ago it's a bit of a new thing for all of us again. For the last few seasons, we've been running at night, on a Saturday night, so I guess we're all in the same ballpark, but Terry looks to be having no problems at all.
They're on lap 10 of 40. The order is Waihoon from Kim Jane, then Wanless in third place in the white Ford T-Bird. There he is at the top of screen. Ingle is 4th ahead of Cook, then Lance, Byers, Elliott, James and Harrison rounding out the top 10.
Dean Wanless, and here comes the enforcer Russell Ingle, currently sitting in 4th position. And in regards to points, at this particular point in time, he would earn 160 championship points, which is almost enough to keep him. Actually, it would be enough to keep him in the championship lead, going with the Bathurst position.
Well, Kim Jane was second at Bathurst.
Okay, so it's going to put him 5 behind, yeah?
That's right. It was a great result for Jane because he's not by nature a road racer. He has done some road racing, and Ingle is the road racer's road racer. He drives like...
Oh, there we go! Byers has gone in the back of Gene Cook. The 41 car started to go around, but the experience of Cook held onto it. Terry Byers give him a little bit of a tag, and the Ostile car looks the worse for wear. On the left-hand rear quarter, there is no doubt about it that Gene Cook would be very unhappy indeed at the moment with Terry Byers, and that 41 car still on the racetrack smoking a little. Here we go on the replay, guys, and Byers closed the gap very quickly indeed. Gene Cook probably almost on 2 lines there, Nathan.
Yeah, I guess, Terry was obviously committed going in, and Gene's come down a little bit, but it's just one of those things, you know, you've got that many things to do in the car, you can't be sort of everywhere.
Let's have a look and see the pit action on screen at the moment. The Ostile team working overtime now, starting to adjust the back of the car there, Nathan. Obviously, they're making changes to that suspension. Yeah,
he's obviously just lifting the car. The car's probably a little bit loose or something, so they're just making a chassis adjustment to try and fix that problem. Because I noticed they didn't pull the actual guard away too much, so they're just lifting the car a little bit. It's obviously not running too bad.
And Peter, you're down there in pit lane.
Indeed, I've got the wife of Gene Cook, Rosemary Cook. Rosemary, how do you find that? A little bit nervous for you?
Very nervous, especially after what happened a couple of years ago. But I don't think there was any need for that.
Although he did come out unscathed, so things are fine.
Yes, he's fine. That's racing.
And as a wife, you often have to deal with that sort of stuff?
Yes, but I don't like it very much.
On the front straight, we actually have Mark Harrison going around the 23 Kirkman Transport car. The gold Pontiac is in all sorts of troubles, and it might even bring out the yellow for the first time today. We're waiting for race control. Kirkman, the Kirkman Transport car, no, heading back in the right direction. But we were talking with the Rosalie Cook down on pit lane there. Of course, a couple of years ago, Jean Cook had a huge accident on the front straight, Nathan, and was in all sorts of problems for a while. Here, let's go to the replay of Mark Harrison. Obviously, overstepped the mark coming out of 4.
Yeah, there are those bumps in turn 4 there that catch quite a few people out, so it's a bit of a common thing. You see a couple of Nascars spinning down the infield, doing a bit of mowing.
So the race leaders now are on lap 18 of 40. Still Waihoon's got about 4 or 5 car lengths between himself and Kim Jane, and then it's a bit of a gap back there to Wanless, who's held third really from the get-go in the 75 Ford T-Bird. But I tell you what, he is being caught now by Russell Ingall. He's got that gap down to maybe 15 car lengths, and this is a particularly impressive debut from the Enforcer. It's one thing to drive hard, but it's another thing to come here with all these concrete walls and 260 km/h top speeds and do it in a car you're not really quite used to.
It's actually like most cars. I mean, they're actually easy to drive, but they're hard to drive fast. And Russell seems to adapt it really well because he's settling in forward nice and easy.
So there's race leader Waihoon in the BP Car Care Ford T-Bird car 25. A great effort, Gerald, to have an Australian-built car on the head of the field.
The car built by Tommy Smith here in Melbourne, in fact, not far from the Calder Park Goodyear Thunderdome. And Tommy Smith, for many years, worked with John Sydney Racing. In fact, worked on Kim Jane and Rodney Jane's cars and got them up to championship winning potential. And Waihoon didn't have the budget to go to the United States and buy a new car. He looked around, had a look at some of the second-hand cars that were available and took the decision. Oh, we got Middleton's got around. There's the 95 car, has backed it into the wall. Bob Middleton, the Middleton White Light Transport. Rodney Jane's been involved as well. He'll be on that fast phone to the John Sydney pit area and saying, hey, get me out of here, guys. I think I might have had some flat spots. But Bob Middleton, the White Line Transport, has got white line and cement wall fever.
Yes, it wasn't a good run there for Jane. He was back there in 7th position when they two came together. Look at the damage on the back of the White Line Transport car. And yes, painted Protect, that's what the car's going to need. As the 95 car is actually stopped on the pit entry, and there he is just backing the car into the wall. He comes down. Now what happens here? Jane just missed him, just failed to clip him, and he had the tail of the car around, and that's what caused him to spin, but there was no contact there.
Nathan, last year you were actually faced with that particular situation of someone going in front of you. Basically what you've got to do is turn in as hard as you can.
Yeah, I mean, the cars are like 3,500 pounds, so they're not easy to pull up. And you're carrying speeds in excess of 200 kilometres an hour most of the time. The lowest speed you go on, turn speed, is about 220k, so when that happens, they're slowing down dramatically, and it takes a while to slow the cars down.
Let's go through the top 4, and we've got Terry Waihoon currently leads ahead of Kim Jane. Dean Wallace is in 3rd spot in the 75 car, and Russell Ingall in 4th. The White Line Transport team are working overtime in the pit lane as Terry Waihoon continues on his merry way in the BP Car Care Ford Thunderbird. That car coming out of turn number 4 on those bumps that we spoke about earlier. And still looking very good though. Very settled car, Phil Brannigan. Waihoon wants to carry on here the same way he left off back in April or March earlier this year with a win.
He's carrying a ton of car speed out there, Gerald, at the moment, the 25 BP Car Care T-Bird. He's got about 15 car lengths between himself and Jane. If I didn't know better, I'd say that Jane just thought, okay, you've got too much for me today. Maybe I'll get you in the 60 lapper. But that gap is over a second now. Waihoon leads from Jane. Wanless is in 3rd place ahead of Russell Ingall. Then Lance in 5th. Elliott in 6th place. They're on lap 26 of 40.
25 laps down, so we're on lap 26, 15 or 14 and a half to go. And the Bob Middleton White Line Transport Caterpillar team working overtime down there on pit lane, putting new tyres on that left-hand side. Now, the worrying factor, Nathan Preddy, for Bob Middleton is he backed the car in and obviously affected the boot and the rear spoiler, which is a plate, basically a plate. That's going to affect the aerodynamics and then the handling of that race car.
Yeah, it certainly will, because the back of the cars are quite heavy with all that fuel in there as well, and with the blade spoiler there, it tends to keep the cars down really well. And as you said, with the back of his car being all damaged and things like that, it's very uneven now, so hopefully he should get back out there.
While the aerodynamic, the spoilers are very simple in their design, in that they are just a blade, they are very effective and super important to that car, aren't they?
They certainly are. I mean, there's no possible way you'd be able to drive around here at half the speed without those spoilers, so they're very important.
On screen there, the 01 wet paint Revell monogram car of Ken James, and right on his tail, the Lockheed's Hotel and Casino car, the 55 Chevy Monte Carlo of George Elliott. But there's Russell Ingall, the enforcer, the Vision Car Alarm 34 car of Kevin Schwantz. And we've got Gene Cook heading towards pit lane yet again. Ingall looking the goods coming out of the turn. But now back to our leaders, and Kim Jane has closed that gap, Phil.
And he's done it very, very quickly. He's done it in 3 laps. He's halved it, in fact. And there is Ingall in 4th place. He doesn't seem to have quite the speed that he might want at this stage of the game. But our race leaders are going through traffic like an absolute tracer bullet at the moment. And look at Jane. The car is twitching visibly under horsepower. This is the part of the race, Nathan, where he is saying, I have the speed.
Yeah, Kim's not one to settle back and take second. He's a real competitor, and he certainly wants to win it just as bad as Terry does. So it's going to be a real dice to him.
Let's go back 3 years ago when Kim Jane was actually running the race car himself, as we see Gene Cook's Ostoil team working overtime. But Kim Jane was working his own race car, driving it, doing the team, the whole deal. He had a car that was so outdated, and he came in second in the championship. He earned results with that car that he really shouldn't have. It was a terrific effort. And now challenging for the lead again. He's trying to go the inside line of Waihoon. You see Waihoon's car starting to bubble there. That's the effect of the aerodynamics that Kim Jane had on the back of Waihoon's car. A little bit of clean air there for taking the air away from the back of Waihoon's car.
Yeah, that's correct. He's because Kim's up the back of Terry so much, it takes the air away from Terry's spoiler. So he's finding the car a little bit loose now, and as you see Kim going under him.
Jane now goes through to the lead yet again. Phil Brannigan. Kim Jane, the Bob Jane T-Mart 27 car, is on a ride towards victory lane in this 40-lap race. 31 down, 9 remaining, or 8.5.
Straight into the tuck, pulled down his head, tightened up the seat belts, didn't change down like Tom Cruise may have done in some of those movies you've seen, but he just blasted past him, and already in 1 lap he's pulled out about 6 or 7 car lengths, and Jane looks like he's just on his way again to another victory. A fantastic piece of driving, and the car looks like it's going around on a piece of string at the moment.
And we've got a battle going on back further in the field with Russell Ingall and the 75 car of Dean Wallace. There's Kim Jane on screen. There's our battle for 3rd spot, and Ingall has really started to close that gap. Wallace, who has been racing in the US on the Winston West Tour, he ran 2 events, one at the California Motor Speedway, where the average speed per lap is something like 185 mile an hour, has come back here and he's saying, hey, our cars are better. I think I can do pretty good today.
There's a race leader, Jane. Now, it's important for Ingall to try and get that position off Wanless, because Ingall won at Bathurst in the first race of the championship. Jane was second. So Ingall started this weekend with a 5-point gap in the championship between himself and Jane. Now Jane, being first on the road, is 15 points up in this race. There is Ingall pushing very hard on the back of the 75 Metal Core T-Bird. So Ingall wants to get past his car. He wants to get those extra points to try and keep his championship lead if he can. And he is really starting to lose some air off the back of that T-Bird, and that's just a little bit of NASCAR inexperience. He got stuck in some dirty air.
That's basically what it is. That's a little bit of inexperience, because obviously when you get close to that car in front, it allows the car in front to start dancing around, but also the front of your car, Nathan, starts to move. Now let's go on board with the Vodafone camera aboard the office with Russell Ingall, and looking at him working overtime. The head starts to buffet around as he goes around the bend. The hands are working overtime. What a great shot aboard the number 34 car.
There's your race leader, Kim Jane, on lap 37 of 4.
Oh, Wanless is getting the dancers up again, Phil, coming out of 4.
That time he lost the air off the back of Ingall's car. He was the one running in dirty air. Didn't have the rear downforce, and she was skipping and dancing.
Very much like what he has done in the past coming out of that turn 4, that the 75 Thunderbird. Really, he drives it loose, doesn't he, Nathan?
Yeah, he's well known for that. He's always, on a fast one, he'll come out of there nearly sideways type thing, but he's always seems to put in the good time.
And look at the difference it made on that time around and up the back straight, the Pettis back straight here. Russell Ingall currently in 3rd spot. They coming out of turn number 4 with 37 laps down. There's Kim Jane up the Pettis back straight. Terry Waihoon is starting to chase him. We've only got 2.5 laps remaining. Dean Wanless, the car sounded a little bit off salt that time by.
Yeah, it sounds like he's struggling just a little bit now, so I guess he'll just try and hold out 4th now to pick up a few points and get in there for the 6th run.
Great shot with the Vodafone camera out in the front of the 0-1 car of Ken James. There's Russell Ingall out in front. Russell Ingall, though, a great first showing here at the Goodyear Thunderdome, the 34 Visionaire car alarms. Chef Monte Carlo heading down the front straight into Simcoe's turns 1 and 2. But there's our leader. Let's look at the leader, Kim Jane, Terry Wyhoon, Russell Ingall and Dean Wanless. Last lap, white flag is waving here at the Goodyear Thunderdome. Terry Wyhoon currently in second spot. We're on the last lap, and it is Kim Jane storming away in the 27 Chev Monte Carlo.
Yeah, it's been a great run for the JSR.
Oh, we nearly had some problems there. Alice stuck down in front of Kim Jane. I tell you what, he nearly collected him. And George Elliott was sat alongside him for a little while, but our leader nearly copped one. The 0-2 car nearly got him. But here he comes across the line, takes the checkered flag. Kim Jane, our race winner. Terry Wyhoon in second spot. Russell Ingall should come across the line in spot number 3, comes out of turn number 4, takes a checkered flag, and a great job for Russell Ingall to finish in third spot. But what an exciting last lap there, and I tell you what, Kim Jane would have had a full windscreen of Kerry Ellis there for a little while.
Yeah, certainly would have. It's one of those things, mirrors are so important out here, and I guess it's just a bit of...
Ellis came up, touched the wall, went right out in front of both Elliott and Jane, and I tell you what, there's probably a paint coat between the pair, Nathan.
It certainly was, and I dare say Kim will be buying our lottery ticket this afternoon. He's done.
Yes, well, just as we were saying that Kim Jane was home free, of course, that tap happened to the wall, and hey, it wasn't his fault. He was just trying to wrestle the car down and stay in one piece, but Jane did a masterful piece of avoidance, and George Elliott had an eyeful of that as well. So a great result there for Jane, but what a debut for Ingall, third place. And checking the results after the first 40 lapper here at the Goodyear Thunderdome for the Nascars. Kim Jane takes the win from Terry Wyhoon in second place. A great debut for Russell Ingall there in third ahead of Wanless in fourth. And then James Wright taking out fifth ahead of Neville Lance. Brewer got up to seventh at the end ahead of Terry Byers. And rounding out the top 10, George Elliott ninth in the double 5 machine and Jimmy Ellis in car number 02.
Kim Jane. Kim, starting to get a little monotonous, isn't it?
Oh, not really. I thought Terry had that one. Like he got a bit, we let him in front. And he obviously wanted to go hard at the start. So then it was going to be a point of chasing him back. I didn't think I'd be able to get him, but he got balked a little, which let me catch right up. Got on his tail, which his car didn't like. Some cars don't mind car right up behind you, and other cars do. And I got up behind him. He got all loose and had to get off the gas, and by we went.
Well, Kim Jane is a very happy winner. Someone else that should be very happy is Russell Ingall, who had a great debut. Let's go down and speak with him right now.
Well, you've got to be happy with that, Russell.
Absolutely. Look, I'm still in one piece as I was the car, so no, it was good fun. I mean, that was my first start, and remembering I'm used to a stationary start, sitting on the grid and then taking off. These rolling starts were a bit of a different ball game, but once I got the first lap out with, I sort of settled into a pace, and I thought, oh, well, look, I'll sit here, and the others pulled away, and the car was starting to get a little bit loose in the rear, and I thought, well, we'll just stay consistent. And all of a sudden, they started coming back, or Dean Wanless said anyway, and I thought, oh, it might be looking all right here. So in the end, plucked a third.
Tell me, did you enjoy yourself? I mean, in comparison to V8s, how would you compare them?
I mean, I suppose there's not much to compare really, because these cars are designed for ovals, and they're a bit of a different animal than the 5 litre, which is designed for a flat track. But it's more so the tactics, I think. There's probably a lot more tactics in these cars you have to use mentally. You have to sort of know when to go, know when to conserve tyres, especially in the longer races. We've got a 60 lapper in the next one, so you have to use the old brain a bit as well.
Well, obviously, Kim Jane and Russell Ingall are fairly pleased with what's happened. Gene Cook isn't, and Peter Quattro is with him right now.
Car number 41, Gene Cook's in the pits, and I've got to tell you, he's a little steamed. Gene, what seems to be the problem? I know you came in first, and there was a little bit of a hit out the back, bit of a touch with Terry.
Yeah, I was a little bit loose. I think I probably wasn't the only one that had a bit of a loose car out there, and I've talked to Terry, and he says he was just come in a bit hot, and he just run into the back of me and turned me around. I was lucky I didn't end up stuck in the wall or something, but as it was, we gathered it up, and then it must have jarred a power steering hose or something, because it went out then, and I'd flat spotted tyres, of course, which you've got to throw a couple of tyres on. Went back out, and then blow me dead, a few laps later, that's spraying oil out the power steering hose, and there was smoke coming in the cab. I talked to Matt on the radio, my crew chief, and he said, yep, it's starting to come. So I thought something was wrong, because it did cop a fair sort of a hit. So it was just put it away and save it for the next one.
Well, everyone's got the right to reply. Let's now go down to Peter Quattro with Terry Byers.
We're with Terry Byers in the pits. Terry, a bit of an altercation up front?
Yeah, I got into Gene Cook. We just run down into the 3, and I got in a bit harder than he did, and I run into the back of him and give him a bit of a serve, you know, so that's bad of sport. Yeah, that's racing.
Well, that's certainly NASCAR racing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. They come here to see that shit, and that's what happens, you know, and I didn't mean to do it, but I did it, and that's what it's about. So we get ready to go out for the next race.
Yeah, we watched Gene come into the pits, and he was a little upset.
Yeah, we got back here in the pits a couple of minutes ago, and he wanted to start throwing punches, but he cooled down, I cooled down, and yeah, we'll get on. We'll be mates for next race and start again and do it again.
Season.